Don't visit my lab, it's disgusting. I'm Rhys Jones. I'm from the South Wales Valleys, and I'm currently a postdoc research fellow at the University of South Wales in the Sustainable Environment Research Centre. For the most part, the bulk of my work involves taking everyday sort of wastes, so that could be grass clippings, food waste, even sewage sometimes, and converting those wastes into valuable products that you might find used in the food industry or the pharmaceutical industry or the chemical industry, just to give that waste added value. Both my parents, probably my grandparents actually, so they were typical sort of Welsh Valleys industrial jobs. So my maternal grandfather, was a steel worker. My father's father sort of fought in World War II, came back, and before that was in the mines. My parents then, neither of those went to university. My father did go to Polytechnic. He became a civil engineer. My parents were quite hard savers. They were quite careful with their money. They made sure that me and my sister were always well looked after and that there was spare cash for us to do things. However, once I graduated from my bachelor's degree and I was sort of more independent and making my own money, really the barrier would have been having the finance to pursue further education. So the European Union identified my part of South Wales as being less economically prosperous than other parts of the UK, and so diverted money to that area, and the university then were able to write to alumni offering funded master's degrees. And by happy coincidence, one of those was renewable energy and resource management, which was something I was quite interested in at the time. I'd been doing a lot of reading around the subject. So, twist of fate or happy coincidence, that's how I started my academic career. IDRIC is all about decarbonising industry, and that's precisely what we're doing. We are taking the wastewater industry and offering them the opportunity, rather than to produce methane, which is a low-grade biogas, to produce a high-grade, zero-carbon liquid chemical. For my job specifically, and I guess science in general, you're really thinking about accepting that every answer is going to pose more questions, and that's not a problem. You want to know what you don't know, and an acceptance of that, I think, is key. In addition to that, I guess you need a little bit of patience. You aren't going to always get the results you're expecting. And finally, in my role, dealing with waste, a strong stomach is needed as well. So I think something that people would be surprised about is that the sewage waste isn't the grossest thing to deal with, because when you collect sewage, it tends to be just this homogeneous brown goo, and really it's been processed a little bit, so the smell is mostly gone. But the worst thing is actually food waste, because it's just a little more visceral, a little bit more real, and especially when it comes time to drain the reactor down at the end of the experiment, because we're talking 100-litre vessels here. You always get little bits of eggshells hanging around at the bottom of your reactor and stuff that just won't ferment. So yeah, it's pretty gross. You don't want to step foot in the lab unless you got a strong stomach. Don't visit my lab, it's disgusting. What is the level of influence on the world that this could have? I think it could be big. Ultimately, people are going to produce waste. There is always going to be sewage. There is always going to be food waste. Even if we're really efficient, we're still going to have things like fruit peels, bits of meals that you just simply can't eat. That will need to be remediated. And we've got a growing global population, and so we are going to have to get more efficient with how we treat these things. So if we can combine more efficient treatment with better products, then really it could influence the world in a big way. And another thing to consider is that we're running out of fossil fuels. Now, the chemicals that we're making in our reactors are used to make the same things that you can make from fossil fuels. So really, it addresses quite a few questions that are going to pose problems for humanity if we don't start thinking about them. Industry is still one of the biggest carbon emitters on the face of the earth, so if we are answering questions that nobody's asking, then nothing's going to get fixed. Whereas now that we're working together with industry on projects like this, all of a sudden we are able to influence each other, and I hope that really we can just continue that and move forward together rather than separately.